Hi there, my name is Yame and I'm a belly dance performer and teacher here at SharqiDance, a place where you can learn how to belly dance online with kindness, love, and support. Today, I'm here to show you basic belly dance posture and how to find your neutral pelvis. And in future videos, I would love to show you how to execute some basic belly dance movements. But for today, we'll just get started with this basic posture. So let's get up and let's get started. So we'll start with our feet about hip distance apart. Finding hip distance apart. By that, what I mean is finding where your hip bones are or where they might be and placing your feet right underneath those hip bones. Okay? For some movements, our feet might be narrower. For some movements, they might be wider. And then depending on who you are and your body and your preferences, you might want to be a little bit narrower or a little bit wider as a default. From here, we're going to ground through the balls of the feet and the heels and just start to shift your weight forward and back. Feeling, what does it feel like to have your weight more on your heels? What does it feel like to have your weight more on the balls of the feet? And then finding a middle spot where your weight can be equally placed between the heels and the balls of the feet. And then ground through the mound of the big toe, ground through the mound of the pinky toes, and then find that center, a slight engagement through the arches of the feet. Take a deep breath. From here, let's softly bend the knees. So a little softness through the knees that will enable us to point our tailbone down so that we can find some length through the lower back and a slight engagement through the lower belly, right beneath the belly button. So exactly how much you need to bend your knees to find that length through the lower back might be different depending on who you are and what your natural posture is. So some people might need to bend a little bit more. Some people don't need to bend quite as far, but wherever you are, you want some softness through the knees so that you're not hyperextending back and overarching the lower back. So really, really important to find that softness and that length through the lower back here. Another tip to find your neutral pelvis is to find the crease of your hips and see if you're bending through the crease of your hips. So if you're finding a little bit of a bend through the crease of your hips, that might indicate that your pelvis, your tailbone is kind of pointing back and your pelvis might be tilted anteriorly. So you want to just lengthen through that lower back, find the length through the crease of your hips, a smoothness through the crease of your hips, and some engagement through the lower part of the belly. You want to make sure that your hips are stacked underneath your ribs. So the hips are not back here and they're not forward here, not forward of the ribs and not back, not behind the back of the ribs or your back. So find that neutral, that alignment. Imagine that there's a column in front of you and you want to stay within the alignment of that column with that tailbone down, length through the crease of your hips, a little bit of an engagement through the lower part of the belly. Okay, now take a deep breath in and open up the chest, open up through the collarbones. And as you exhale, let your ribs release and relax. So we don't want the ribs flaring open and the chest up really high. We also don't want the ribs contracting in and the chest caving in forward and the shoulders rounding. We want to find that nice neutral, stacking the shoulders over the hips and relaxing the rib cage, but still keeping the chest open. Find the nubs of your shoulders. We all have them, and make sure they're pointed up. Chin parallel with the floor. Relaxation through the face. A little bit of space between the arms and the body. A slight little flaring out of the elbows a slight curve through the elbows and slight curves through the wrists when the arms are down. We'll talk more about different arm positions in future videos, but as a reminder for today's posture, we want our weight evenly placed between both feet, not too far forward, not too far back. Find that middle space, a little bit of engagement through the arches of the feet, pressing down through the heels, through the inner balls of the feet and the outer balls of the feet. Length through the tailbone, length through the crease of the hips, a little bit of engagement through the lower abs, softness through the ribs, openness through the chest, through the shoulders. Shoulders relaxed down away from the ears, also creating space here through the neck. Neck is nice and long, chin parallel with the floor, space between the arms and the body, feet about hip width apart, and there's your basic belly dance posture and your neutral pelvis. Of course, we're not going to be static in this posture as we dance. We come out of this posture and go into dynamic movements. But this idea of the neutral pelvis kind of remains constant throughout a lot of the dance, unless you're doing movements like pelvic tilts and movements that include a tilting of the pelvis, which we'll discuss in future videos. So I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you in future videos. Bye.